Hey everyone, welcome back to your fourth stimulus check and news update. Today's update, we have a lot of news to get into, but first, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull valued up to $2,300, make sure to claim them by clicking my link, which you'll find in the description box below. Okay, so jumping right into the update for today, even though the $300 plus up in federal unemployment benefits don't officially come to an end until September 6th, as we all know, many states ended this extra money earlier on. This is because they believe this extra money was creating a disincentive for many people to return to work. Because of this, unemployed workers in Indiana, Maryland, Texas, Iowa, among other states, filed class action lawsuits against their states, hoping for these benefits to be reinstated. Recently, judges in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Indiana, and Maryland ruled in favor to reinstate the benefits, whereas in states like Florida, Louisiana, Ohio, and Missouri, judges ruled against them being put back into place. So, depending on where people live, ultimately are determining whether or not the benefits are being reinstated. And as I said, anyways, the benefits are coming to an end either way on Monday. Regardless, in the states where benefits were cut off a few months early, it should be helpful for those who receive the extra money they missed out on over the past several weeks. Even though there are no quick plans in place to extend the unemployment benefits past September 6th, some progressive lawmakers hope to include an extension in the reconciliation bill they hope to pass by late September or October. With that said, do you personally believe that the unemployment benefits should be extended for at least a few more months? Or at this point in time, do you believe that there's enough jobs out there and that people should find a way to return to work? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. In some other news, as we kick off the beginning of September, Congress looks to get moving on a couple of different bills. The first one being the bipartisan infrastructure bill that has already passed in the Senate. Then the second being the much larger $3.5 trillion bill, which Democrats hope to pass through reconciliation. Now, even though the bipartisan infrastructure bill has already passed in the Senate, it still doesn't have 100% support from Republicans and Democrats. For example, only 19 of the 50 Republicans in the Senate voted in favor of the bill. Then, in the House, even though most progressive Democrats will probably in the end vote in favor of the bill, recently, in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's town hall, she called the package anti-climate, and it was essentially drafted by ExxonMobil.
Now, there was a little bit of drama because I think it ended up being 10 conservative Democrats wanted to hold the Build Back Better Act hostage in order to get their infrastructure package prioritized and passed out of the gate. Now, why is this a bad thing? The reason this is a bad thing is that from the very, very beginning, a deal was struck that the conservative infrastructure package had to be paired with the more visionary Build Back Better Act in order for it to pass. The reason for this is because conservatives, and I mean conservative Democrats, as are partnering with the Republican Party in order to try to pass an infrastructure package that it frankly is anti-climate and was drafted by ExxonMobil, essentially. And we know this because an ExxonMobil lobbyist was caught on videotape, bragging about the fact that he has these Democrats on speed dial and the role that ExxonMobil played in trying to shape this legislation. So what they were trying to do, essentially, is pass this infrastructure package so that they can kill the budget reconciliation package, to the Build Back Better Act. Now, there are some investments in this infrastructure package that are good, that are frankly, we will not object to. Things like climate resiliency investments, investing in infrastructure that can help communities build seawalls or help rebuild infrastructure that is being threatened by climate change We don't object to that. In fact, we think that this infrastructure package is underinvesting in those needs. Investments in things like trying to rebuild elements of our national power grid. We don't object to that. There are other parts of this bill that I think are extremely alarming. Things like partnering with private equity in order to allow states to auction off toll roads, et cetera, as well as sneaky language where they talk about putting billions of dollars in tax breaks for quote unquote carbon capture technology. Carbon capture sounds nice, right? And this is what fossil fuel lobbyists are experts at. They are experts at branding certain tax breaks to sound like they're climate friendly when they're really fossil fuel wish lists. And so some of the issues with carbon capture tax subsidies is that we saw in California that fossil fuel companies will use certain language drafted on the premise of carbon capture technology to essentially help themselves drill more oil. And that is, as we know, the last thing that we need, as we saw from the most recent IPCC report, that we are at code red for humanity and for our future. So the argument here is that if the conservative infrastructure package alone was passed alone, not only would it be not enough, but it could potentially be actively harmful. What makes up for the infrastructure package is the Build Back Better Act. The Build Back Better Act and budget reconciliation will allow us to make the actual investments in climate that can help us draw down emissions. It will expand Medicare to include vision and dental healthcare, vision, dental, and hearing and vision, I believe. Yeah, vision, dental, and hearing.
So you can see that Ocasio-Cortez is taking a bit of a shot at her Democrat colleagues. She's basically calling her colleagues traitors for working with the Republicans and pairing the bipartisan package with their larger reconciliation bill. She believes the bipartisan package is anti-climate, which hopes to combat the other bill, which they believe is going to fight climate change. She also believes these Democrats wanted to quickly sneak the bipartisan package through, so then they could the reconciliation one. Now, I'm sure these Democrats aren't going to take too kindly to these comments, and if anything, will probably just give them more motivation to take some of the spending out of the larger bill. With that said, with these two bills and all the drama most likely surrounding them, it should be an interesting month ahead. Okay, so now I just wanted to quickly touch base on rental assistance. As we all know, recently the Supreme Court did strike down the CDC's ban on evictions, which now leaves many tenants quite vulnerable. And even though Congress has already approved more than $45 billion in rental assistance to address this crisis, 16 states have apparently spent less than 5% of the share they received. Recently, the president and CEO of the National Low-Income Housing Coalition said that 6.5 million households are behind on their rent and facing eviction. Therefore, she said, the slow pace of spending by these states and cities, quite frankly, is just unacceptable. Many people believe the slow pace of the rollouts of these funds is due to complicated and difficult applications, in addition to short staffing across the nation. Of course, even with this slow pace, if you or anyone that you know is behind on their rent and possibly facing eviction, you should still definitely put in an application for assistance as soon as you possibly can. In a few states, if you at least put in an application for rental assistance, you'll have some protections from being kicked out of your home. These include Minnesota, New York, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. On the National Low-Income Housing Coalition website, which I will leave a link for in the description box below, you can find a state-by-state list for the nearly 500 programs currently available. There's another helpful tool on the Consumer Financial Protection website that helps you apply for the aid as well. That one, I'll also go ahead and leave a link for in the description box below if you would like to check out. So again, if you are currently behind on your rent, please do not hesitate to apply for this aid. It's what it's there for, and in case you're wondering, for eligibility purposes, at least one member of your household just has to qualify for unemployment benefits or attest in writing that they've lost income. Furthermore, you also need to show a risk of homelessness, so you could include something like a past due rent notice. And of course, as always, if you need any help whatsoever in applying for this assistance, leave a comment below including the city and state in which you live, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, if you would like to receive a couple free stocks from Webull, make sure to quickly claim them by clicking my link, which you'll find in the description box below. To receive the first stock, you will need to fully open an account. Then, to receive the second free stock, which will be valued up to $2,000, you'll need to make a qualifying deposit of at least $5. Even if you aren't all that interested in investing or continuing to invest at this point in time, you can always sell the free stocks that you receive and transfer that money, however much they're worth, right back to your bank account. So free stocks or free money is completely up to you. So once again, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I'll see you in the next video.